The intercom crackled, slicing through the hum of Southwest Airlines Flight 2008-147. "Captain Morrison, we need you up front now." Jessica's voice trembled, sharp with panic. 140. 7 passengers looked up from their phones, their attention snapping to the front of the cabin. Something was wrong in first class, very wrong. Marcus Williams sat motionless in seat 2A, his calm a stark contrast to the chaos brewing around him. For 12 minutes, he hadn't budged, not when Jessica demanded his real ticket, not when she called him a fraud, not when passengers began filming his attempted removal. He simply checked his Patek Philippe watch, its understated elegance glinting under the cabin lights, and waited. "Sir, you're holding up this entire flight," Jessica said, her voice quivering with a mix of frustration and fear. "The captain is coming." Marcus smiled, a slow, deliberate smile that sent a chill down Jessica's spine. "I know," he said softly. His phone buzzed. A text from someone labeled "Legal Team" flashed on the screen. "Everything ready, sir." "Just give us the word." The cabin seemed to hold its breath. The stories we tell ourselves about strangers, the assumptions that shape our judgments, these are the threads that weave the fabric of our reality. But sometimes those threads unravel, revealing truths that shatter everything we thought we knew. Have you ever misjudged someone so completely that it upended your entire world? Captain Derek Morrison strode into first class like a storm cloud, his gold stripes catching the light. 23 years of flying had taught him one unshakable truth. Problem passengers required immediate, decisive action. "Jessica, what's happening here?" His voice carried the weight of absolute authority, the kind that silenced murmurs and demanded compliance. Jessica pointed at Marcus, her hand trembling. "This man has been sitting in first class for 20 minutes. He won't show proper ID. He's been aggressive." Morrison studied Marcus. The man's suit was impeccably tailored, his posture relaxed, hands folded calmly in his lap. Nothing about him screamed threat. Yet Jessica's voice was shaking, and in 8 years she'd never lied to him. "Sir, I'm Captain Morrison," he said, his tone measured but firm. "I understand there's been some confusion about your seat assignment." Without a word, Marcus lifted his boarding pass. Southwest Airlines Flight 2008-147, Seat 2A. Morrison examined it closely. The document was pristine, legitimate in every detail. "This appears to be in order," he said slowly. "It's fake," Jessica whispered, but her voice carried through the cabin, sharp and accusing. "Captain, look at him. Really look. Does he belong in first class?" The words hung in the air, heavy with implication. Emma Morgan, a passenger in 4A, watched her live stream viewer count surge to 8,000. Comments flooded her feed. Did she just say that? This is insane. Southwest about to get sued. Morrison felt the weight of 147 pairs of eyes on him. The businessman in 1C tapped his watch impatiently. The couple in 2C whispered behind their hands. A teenager in 4A held up her phone, recording every moment. "Ma'am," Morrison said carefully, turning to Jessica, "I need you to explain what you mean by that." Jessica's voice cracked. "You know what I mean. People like him don't usually fly first class. He probably bought this ticket from some sketchy website." The cabin gasped. "People like me?" Marcus spoke for the first time, his voice quiet but laced with a dangerous edge. "Don't act like you don't know what I'm talking about," Jessica snapped, her composure fraying. "I see hundreds of passengers every day. I know who belongs where." Emma's phone trembled in her hands as her live stream hit 15,000 viewers. The hashtag Southwest Discrimination began trending. The local news stations flooded her inbox with messages. The gate agent's voice crackled over the intercom. "Final boarding in 10 minutes. Morrison's jaw tightened. "Sir, I'm going to need additional identification, driver's license, credit card, something to verify this ticket." Marcus reached into his jacket and Morrison tensed. You never knew with problem passengers. But Marcus only produced a wallet expensive, European leather. Inside was a black American Express Centurion card, the kind with $1.10, $0 annual fee, the kind Morrison had only seen in magazines. His confidence wavered. "This is a very exclusive card," he said. "Yes," Marcus replied simply, "it is." "That doesn't explain how you got first class," Jessica interjected, her voice rising. "Those seats cost $800. You probably used miles or some upgrade trick." Marcus didn't flinch. "I paid full price this morning at 6:43 a.m. The specificity unnerved Morrison. Most passengers couldn't recall the exact time they booked a flight. 9 minutes to departure, Captain. Jessica said, "Other passengers are complaining. They paid good money for a comfortable flight. This situation is making everyone uncomfortable." She was right. The businessman in 1C was openly staring now. The woman in 3D was recording. The tension in the cabin was palpable. "Sir," Morrison said, his voice firm, "I'm going to ask you to deplane voluntarily. We can sort this out at the gate with customer service." Marcus's response was a single word, sharp as a blade: "No." Morrison had heard that tone before, from passengers who ended up in handcuffs. "I beg your pardon," he said. Marcus leaned forward slightly. "I said no, Captain Morrison. I'm not deplaning. I'm not moving. I'm staying in my assigned seat until this aircraft reaches Phoenix." Jessica's face flushed red. "That's it. I'm calling security. You're trespassing. 8 minutes to departure." "Jessica, make the call," Morrison ordered. He'd had enough. This passenger was clearly unstable, possibly dangerous. Marcus checked his watch again, a Patek Philippe worth more than Morrison's annual salary. "Captain, before you do that, I have a question. Are you familiar with Federal Aviation Regulation 91:11? Morrison paused. The regulation was specific, dealing with crew authority and interstate commerce violations. "Sir, are you threatening legal action?" he asked. Marcus's eyes didn't waver. "I'm asking if you understand the legal framework you're operating under." Emma's live stream surged past 30,000 viewers. Comments exploded. "This is 2024 and we're still doing this. Get this racist crew fired." 7 minutes to departure. Morrison's radio crackled. "Captain Morrison, this is ground security. We're boarding for a passenger removal." Two officers, Janet Kim and Mike Rodriguez, stepped onto the plane, restraints in hand. "What's the situation?" Kim asked, scanning the cabin. Jessica pointed at Marcus. "This passenger has been disruptive for 30 minutes. He's threatening crew members and refusing to move to economy where he belongs." Marcus remained still, hands folded, eyes tracking every camera, every witness. "Sir," Kim addressed Marcus, "we need you to come with us voluntarily." Marcus's voice was calm, unwavering. "I'm in my assigned seat with a valid boarding pass. I'm not going anywhere." Rodriguez stepped closer, hand on his zip ties. "Sir, you're interfering with aircraft operations. Federal offense. Last warning. 6 minutes to departure." The gate agent's voice announced over the intercom. Emma's live stream chat was a blur. "This is insane. Sue them all. Call every news station." The businessman in 1C lost his patience. "Captain, I paid premium prices to avoid exactly this kind of situation. I have a connecting flight in Phoenix." Other first-class passengers murmured agreement. The woman in 2D angled her phone for a better shot. Marcus checked his watch again, a gesture now interpreted as defiance. "Officers," he said, "before you proceed, I have one question. Are you familiar with the legal ramifications of unlawful detention?" Kim hesitated. That was lawyer language, specific, technical. "We're not here for questions," Rodriguez snapped. "Actually," Marcus said, reaching slowly for his briefcase, "let me clarify something about those rights." Rodriguez tensed. "No sudden movements." Marcus remained calm. "I'm retrieving documentation you requested. 5 minutes to departure." Morrison's radio crackled again. "Captain Morrison, operations. CNN is calling our media line. Fox News is requesting comment. We need immediate resolution and national news coverage." Morrison felt his career crumbling in real time, but Jessica had never been wrong about problem passengers. "Never. What documentation?" Kim asked suspiciously. Marcus's voice was steady, the kind that explains why forcibly removing me would end all of your careers. Jessica's voice rose to near hysteria. He's been threatening us the entire time. He won't show proper ID. Look at him. Does he look like he belongs in first class? Kim frowned. Ma'am, what specific threats did he make? Jessica's words tumbled out. He said there'd be consequences. He keeps timing everything on his watch. He's planning something. Emma's viewer count hit 55,000. News outlets were sliding into her DM. 4 minutes to departure. Morrison made his decision. Officers, remove him. 140. 7 passengers can't be held hostage by one individual. Rodriguez stepped forward, restraints ready. Sir, stand up slowly and place your hands behind your back. Marcus didn't move. Instead, he said, Captain Morrison, how long have you been flying for Southwest? Morrison answered automatically, 23 years. Then caught himself, that's irrelevant. Officer Rodriguez, how long have you worked airport security? 8 years, Rodriguez replied. Why does that matter? Marcus's voice was calm but cutting. Because in 30 seconds, you'll both need to explain to your supervisors why you detained the wrong person. Morrison's radio erupted. Captain Morrison, emergency, we have a developing situation. Stand by for executive-level instructions. Do not proceed with passenger removal until further notice. Executive level, that meant corporate headquarters, people Morrison had never met but who controlled his career. Marcus stood and the cabin held its breath. Every phone focused on him. Officers, he said quietly, 20 years from now, you'll train new personnel about this moment, about the importance of asking the right questions before taking action. He reached into his briefcase with deliberate slowness, producing a leather document folder, embossed with a logo most wouldn't recognize. Before you arrest me, he said, perhaps you should see my identification. Kim took the business card he offered, her face paling as she read it. She showed it to Rodriguez, whose eyes widened. What does it say? Morrison demanded, his voice cracking. Kim's whisper was barely audible. Marcus Williams, board member, Southwest Airlines. A board member, not CEO board member, high enough to destroy careers. Not so high it seemed impossible. Jessica's face crumpled. That can't be real. Board members don't fly commercial. 2 minutes to departure. Morrison's radio crackled with a new voice, older, more authoritative. Captain Morrison, this is Senior Vice President Davidson. We are aware of the situation on Flight 2008, 147. Take no further action against the passenger in Seat 2A. Corporate is handling this directly. Marcus sat back down, smoothing his suit jacket. Captain Morrison, I believe you had some concerns about my documentation. Morrison felt 20. 3 years of flying evaporating. Sir, we the crew had no way of knowing. Marcus's voice was soft but unyielding. That's precisely the point. You assumed, your crew assumed, and now 60 zeros. Zero people have watched those assumptions play out in real time. Emma's live stream had reached 60 zeros, zero viewers. Comments were a blur of shock and vindication, asterisk board member, they're so fired. Justice is served. Asterisk Rodriguez backed away, his restraints forgotten. Kim stared at the business card like it held nuclear codes. Jessica began hyperventilating, the weight of her words recorded, live-streamed, witnessed by thousands, crashed down. 1 minute to departure. Marcus checked his watch one final time. I believe we have some important matters to discuss, he said. The implications hung in the recycled air like a storm cloud waiting to break. Silence crashed over the cabin. Marcus Williams, board member, sat in seat 2A, while 60,000 people watched the crew's world collapse in real time. Morrison stared at the business card in Kim's trembling hands. Board members didn't fly commercial. They had private jets. Executive assistants, security details. Sir, Morrison whispered, if you're on the board, why didn't you identify yourself immediately? Marcus looked up, and for the first time something flickered in his eyes. Not anger, but something deeper. Captain, why should I have to prove who I am to sit in a seat I paid for? The question hit like a sledgehammer. Morrison realized he'd never asked that of a white passenger. We follow protocol, he stammered. Whose protocol says black men in expensive suits or Suspicious. The word hung in the air, asterisk black asterisk. He'd said it. The thing everyone was thinking but no one would voice. Jessica's sobbing intensified. She understood now. This wasn't just a customer service failure. This was a civil rights incident, recorded, live-streamed, permanent. Emma's chat exploded. Asterisk he said it, calling out the racism, 90K viewers. Asterisk Marcus reached for his tablet, his hands not quite steady. The calm facade was cracking. Officer Rodriguez, he said, in your 8 years of security work, how many white passengers have you restrained for sitting quietly in first class? Rodriguez couldn't answer. How many black passengers? The mathematics of bias were undeniable. Marcus tapped his tablet and a new screen appeared, not an organizational chart but a video call. The Southwest Airlines boardroom materialized, 6 executives staring into the camera. Marcus, a woman's voice said, we're watching the live stream. Are you all right? The crew's faces went ashen. This wasn't just any board member. This was someone the executives called by his first name, someone they were worried about. I'm fine, Patricia, Marcus replied, though I think Captain Morrison and his crew have some explaining to do. Morrison realized with horror that the entire Southwest Airlines executive team was watching this unfold live. Captain Morrison, the woman on the screen said, this is Patricia Watkins, Senior Vice President of Operations. Would you care to explain why our asterisk chairman asterisk is being threatened with arrest on his own airline? Asterisk chairman asterisk, not board member chairman of the board. Morrison felt his knees buckle. Jessica collapsed into a passenger seat, hyperventilating. Rodriguez dropped his restraints, the plastic clattering on the cabin floor. Ma'am, Morrison stammered, we had no identification. The crew reported. The crew reported what exactly? Another voice from the tablet, older, male, authoritative. This is CEO Jordan. I want a precise explanation of why my chairman was treated like a criminal. Emma's viewer count hit 100,000. News alerts popped up faster than she could read them. Marcus turned the tablet toward Jessica. MS Martinez, would you like to explain to CEO Jordan what you told me about people like me? Jessica couldn't speak, couldn't breathe. The weight of the executive team watching her discrimination in real time was crushing. Sir, Kim found her voice. We were responding to crew reports of a disruptive passenger. CEO Jordan's voice cut through the cabin. We have footage from multiple angles. Mr. Williams was sitting quietly, reading documents. What exactly was disruptive about his behavior? The flight attendant assumed. Marcus interrupted, his voice now carrying an edge. She assumed I didn't belong. She assumed my tick, it was fake. She assumed I was aggressive. Every assumption based on one thing, my appearance. The cabin was silent except for Jessica's ragged breathing. Marcus tapped the tablet again, revealing internal Southwest communications. Real-time messages between executives, legal department mobilizing, PR crisis team activated, stock price monitoring initiated. Ladies and gentlemen, Marcus addressed the cabin. What you're witnessing is how quickly assumptions become lawsuits, how bias becomes headlines, how prejudice becomes stock price drops. Morrison's radio crackled. Captain Morrison, this is tower control. We have 17 news vans at Phoenix Sky Harbor. The FAA is requesting incident reports. Complete your departure immediately. 17 news vans. This was a national story. Captain, CEO Jordan's voice cut through. You will complete this flight. Mr. Williams will remain in his seat, the seat he paid for. Upon arrival, you will report directly to corporate headquarters. MS Martinez, you will say nothing further to passengers or crew. HR will meet you at the gate. Officers, your departments will receive formal complaints. Contact your supervisors immediately. Marcus closed the tablet, the executive's presence lingering like smoke. Now, he said, standing slowly, let me show you something else. He opened his briefcase wider, revealing legal documents marked asterisk, class action lawsuit template. Airline discrimination asterisk, financial reports showing revenue impacts of discrimination incidents, and training. Materials titled asterisk, unconscious bias in customer service asterisk. I didn't board this flight by accident, Marcus said quietly. Southwest Airlines has received 40. 7 discrimination complaints this quarter. This flight was a test. The words hit like electricity. A setup. You planned this. Morrison asked, his voice barely audible. I plan to fly first class on my own airline. Marcus replied, your crew planned the discrimination. Emma's live stream reached 110,000 viewers. Comments flooded. Asterisk, it was a test. Chairman of his own airline, genius. Asterisk, Marcus pulled out his phone, displaying a draft press release. Asterisk, Southwest Airlines announces comprehensive anti-discrimination initiative following chairman's personal experience with bias. Asterisk. This press release goes out in 30 minutes, he said. It announces mandatory bias training for all employees, third-party audit of customer service interactions, and a $10 million fund for discrimination prevention programs. He looked at Jessica, MS. Martinez, your assumptions just cost this company $10 million. Jessica's sobbing turned to hyperventilation. A passenger offered her an oxygen mask. But Marcus continued, they also bought us the opportunity to become the first airline in America with a zero-tolerance discrimination policy backed by real consequences. Morrison found his voice. Sir, what happens to us? Marcus studied him for a long moment. That depends, Captain, on whether you learn from this or repeat it. He opened his laptop and began typing. I'm documenting everything that happened here. Today, every word, every assumption, every moment of bias. It will become required training material for every Southwest employee. The plane began to move, departing 37 minutes late. Ladies and gentlemen, Marcus announced, welcome to the flight that changes everything. As Phoenix approached, Marcus made one final call. Legal, it's Marcus. Execute the discrimination protocol, full implementation. Get me a meeting with the NAACP, ACLU, and Department of Transportation. We're going to fix this industry. The test was over. The real work was about to begin. The cabin air felt electric as Flight 2008, 147 cruised toward Phoenix. Marcus closed his laptop with a snap, sound cutting through the nervous whispers of 147 passengers. MS Martinez. His voice carried absolute authority. Sit down. We're going to have a conversation. Jessica stumbled to seat 2B, her hands shaking uncontrollably. Every phone in first class focused on her tear. Streaked face. Look at me, Marcus commanded. Jessica forced herself to meet his eyes. What she saw wasn't anger but disappointment so profound it felt like a physical blow. 8 years with this company, Marcus said quietly. 15 discrimination training sessions, dozens of diversity workshops, and 30 minutes ago, you looked at a black man in a $30,000 suit and decided he was a criminal. Sir, I'm not finished. Marcus cut her off, his words like ice. Do you know what Southwest Airlines stock price was when we took off? $34.67 per share. Do you know what it will be when we land? He opened his phone, showing a real-time stock ticker. Asterisk Southwest Airlines $32.15 down 7.3% asterisk. Your assumptions just cost our shareholders $847 million in market value. Emma's live stream exploded. Asterisk stock price crashing live. She cost them almost $1 billion. Asterisk Captain Morrison. Marcus called out, join us. Morrison emerged from the cockpit, his uniform wrinkled, his face gray. 23 years of flying and it would all end here. Captain, how many black passengers have you personally removed from first class? Morrison's mouth went dry. Sir, I don't keep statistics on. I do. Marcus interrupted, pulling up a document. Southwest Internal Audit, Flight Operations Division. In the past 2 years, Captain Derek Morrison has authorized the removal of 17 passengers from premium cabins. 15 were people of color, 2 were white. The numbers were an indictment. Morrison felt his legs weaken. Coincidence, Captain. I never realized, he stammered. You never realized because you never questioned. Marcus said, MS. Martinez tells you a black passenger is disruptive, and you don't ask for specifics. She tells you someone doesn't belong, and you don't ask why. You just act. He stood, commanding the cabin's attention. His voice carried to the back rows. Ladies and gentlemen, what you're witnessing is institutional racism in action, not burning hood, wearing racism but the polite kind, the kind that hides behind policy and protocol. Jessica's sobbing intensified. She understood now this wasn't just about her job. This was about everything she'd been taught, everything she'd accepted as normal. Marcus's phone buzzed. He glanced at the screen and smiled grimly. MS Martinez, do you know who that was? Jessica shook her head. Gloria Allred's law office. They want to discuss a class action lawsuit representing every black passenger discriminated against by Southwest Airlines in the past 5 years. The color drained from Jessica's face. How many passengers is that? Marcus asked rhetorically. Based on our internal complaints, approximately 200-300 incidents. Average settlement value in discrimination cases, $400,000 per plaintiff. Emma did quick math on her live stream. Asterisk, that's almost $1 billion in potential lawsuits. Asterisk. Marcus nodded. Correct. MS Martinez, your 30 minutes of bias just exposed Southwest Airlines to the largest discrimination lawsuit in aviation history. Morrison found his voice. Sir, what can we do? Marcus's laugh was bitter. Captain, there is no we. You made your choice when you decided I was guilty before asking what I'd done wrong. Please, sir, Morrison said, I have a family, a mortgage. I'll lose everything. So did the 200-300 black passengers you and your colleagues humiliated over the past 5 years. Marcus replied, did you consider their families when you had them removed from flights? Morrison couldn't answer. Marcus pulled up another document. Asterisk. Southwest Airlines Crisis Management Protocol. Stock Price Protection Asterisk. He read aloud, when facing potential discrimination lawsuits exceeding $100 million, immediately terminate all involved personnel to demonstrate corporate commitment to equality. Jessica's voice cracked. You're firing us. I'm not firing anyone, Marcus said coldly. The board of directors will vote on your termination at an emergency meeting in 90 minutes. I'll be recommending immediate dismissal with cause, no severance, no benefits, no references. The words hit like blows. Jessica doubled over, hyperventilating. Morrison grabbed a seat back for support, but, Marcus continued, there is one possibility for mitigation. Both crew members looked up desperately. Full public confession, live television interview, complete acknowledgement of bias and discrimination, commitment to become advocates for civil rights training in the airline industry. You want us to humiliate ourselves on national TV. Morrison asked, you humiliated me in front of 150,000 people. Marcus replied, turnabout is fair play. Emma's viewer count had reached 150,000. News outlets were broadcasting her stream directly. #Southwest discrimination was trending globally. Marcus's tablet chimed with an incoming video call. He accepted it, angling the screen so the cabin could see. Marcus, it's Robert Jordan, the CEO of Southwest Airlines, said, his face grim. We've been monitoring the situation. Legal department is mobilizing. PR crisis team is activated. The FAA is demanding immediate compliance reviews. Robert, meet the crew that just cost us $1 billion in market cap. Marcus said. Jordan's eyes focused on Jessica and Morrison. You two are suspended immediately. Security will escort you off the aircraft upon landing. HR will conduct full investigations. Marcus interjected, Bob, I want them to have one opportunity to salvage their careers. What kind of opportunity? Jordan asked. Public accountability, full media confession, commitment to anti-discrimination advocacy. Jordan considered this. If they refuse, termination with cause, blacklisted from aviation industry, personal liability for any discrimination lawsuits that name them specifically. Morrison's voice was a whisper. Personal liability. Captain, Marcus said, when you violate someone's civil rights while acting outside company policy, you become personally responsible for damages. MS Martinez, the same applies to you. Jessica was hyperventilating again. How much personal liability? Morrison asked. Marcus consulted his tablet. Based on similar cases, approximately $2-3 million each, plus legal fees, plus punitive damages if a jury finds willful discrimination. Both crew members realized they were facing financial ruin. Sir, Jessica gasped. What do you want us to do? Marcus leaned back. I want you to choose, easy or hard. Take responsibility publicly and help us fix this problem, or fight us in court and lose everything. The plane began its descent into Phoenix. News helicopters followed their approach. 30 minutes to landing, Morrison announced automatically. 30 minutes to decide your futures. Marcus corrected. Choose wisely. Flight 2847 touched down with a thud that echoed through Jessica's soul. Through the window, she saw her future. News vans, federal investigators, the end of her 8-year career. Final decision time, Marcus said, not looking up from his tablet. CNN is requesting live interviews. So is asterisk 60 minutes asterisk. The whole world wants to hear your story. Jessica's voice cracked. What if I can't do it? What if I break down on camera? For the first time, Marcus's expression softened. Ms. Martinez, do you have children? A daughter. She's 7. What do you want her to learn from this moment? Jessica wiped her eyes. That people can change. That mistakes don't have to define you forever. Then that's what you tell the cameras. Morrison shut down the engines, his hands shaking. Sir, I need you to know something. This wasn't the first time. I've done this before. Made assumptions about passengers based on how they looked. I told myself I was following procedure. Marcus studied the broken captain. How many times, Derek? The use of his first name made it worse. Dozens maybe, but my own son is Mick Strace. What if someone treated him the way I treated you? The confession hit like lightning. Morrison's own child was the kind of person he'd been discriminating against. Then you have a very personal reason to make this right. Marcus said quietly. Aircraft door opened and chaos poured in. Federal investigators, Southwest executives, and lawyers filled the jet bridge. Inspector General Torres approached. Mr. Williams, we need immediate statements. This investigation is now a federal civil rights case. Inspector, Marcus said, before we begin, I want to show you something. He displayed a document titled Asterisk, the Morrison-Martinez Protocol. Case study in institutional bias asterisk. I've been developing this training program for 6 months. Today's incident will become mandatory education for every airline employee in America. Torres examined the screen. You've been planning this. I've been asterisk preparing asterisk for this. Marcus corrected. Jessica found her voice. Sir, can I ask you something personal? How many times has this happened to you? Marcus was quiet for a long moment. Ms. Martinez, I'm a black man who travels 200 0 miles a year on commercial airlines. Take a guess. Too many times, she whispered. Far too many. Marcus said, but today was different. Today, I had the power to do something about it. Emma looked up from her phone, now showing 180 zeros. 0 viewers. Mr. Williams, people are asking, will this really change anything, or will it just blow over? Marcus smiled grimly. Emma, in the next hour, Southwest Airlines will announce the most comprehensive anti-discrimination program in aviation history. $5 million investment, mandatory body cameras, third-party auditing, zero tolerance with immediate termination. He turned to Jessica and Morrison, and our first 2 case studies will be sitting right here. Case studies? Morrison asked. You two will spend the next year traveling to every Southwest hub, telling your story, showing employees how bias works, how assumptions become actions, how good people can do terrible things without realizing it. Jessica's tears stopped. Hope flickered in her eyes. You're giving us a chance to fix this. I'm giving you a chance to earn redemption, Marcus said. It won't be easy. You'll relive this humiliation hundreds of times. You'll face angry audiences. Some people will never forgive you, but our daughter will see us trying to make it right. Morrison said quietly. Marcus stood as passengers deplaned. Ladies and gentlemen, you've witnessed something unprecedented, a live case study in how discrimination happens and how it can be stopped. He paused at the cabin door. In 12 months, Southwest Airlines will be the safest airline in America for every passenger, regardless of race, religion, or background, not because we're perfect, but because we're finally honest about our imperfections. Outside, protesters chanted as news cameras rolled. This wasn't just a Southwest story. It was a national conversation about bias, power, and change. Jessica took a deep breath and walked toward the cameras. Her career was over, but her real work was beginning. Morrison followed, thinking of his mixed-race son and the world he wanted to leave him. Marcus stepped into the Phoenix heat, carrying the weight of systemic change. Flight was over. The transformation had just begun. 3 months later, the Morrison-Martinez protocol was implemented by every major airline in America. Sometimes justice arrives at 30,000 feet. 6 months after Flight 2847, Marcus sat in his home office at 2:00 a.m., scrolling through messages that arrived daily. An email from Sarah Thompson, a white woman from Ohio, made him pause. Last week, I was on a United flight when I saw them treating a Latino family exactly like Southwest treated you. I remembered your story. I started recording. I spoke up. The family kept their seats. Thank you for showing me how to be brave. Marcus forwarded the email to Emma Morgan, now running Southwest's Dignity Documentation Project. Stories like Sarah's arrived daily, passengers finding courage, employees speaking up, systemic change spreading. His phone buzzed with a text from Jessica. Detroit training tomorrow. 500 new hires. Still nervous, but their faces when they get it. Worth everything. Another from Morrison. My son asked to come to my next presentation. He wants to help. Said he's proud his dad learned to be better. Marcus leaned back. The real victory wasn't the $2. $3 billion in prevented lawsuits or the 89% drop in discrimination complaints. It was Sarah Thompson finding her voice, Morrison's son feeling proud. The intercom buzzed. Mr. Williams, 60 Minutes is on line 1 for a follow-up story. Tell them I'm not available. Marcus replied, connect them with Emma Morgan. Her story matters now. He looked out at the Phoenix skyline. Flights were taking off, passengers treated with dignity because strangers had witnessed injustice and acted. His computer chimed with Emma's latest live stream, not from an airplane, but a Seattle coffee shop, documenting discrimination against a transgender customer. The video had 100,000 views and climbing. Marcus began typing. 6 months ago, I sat in seat 2A and changed my life, but I didn't change the world, you did. Every time you share Emma's video, discrimination gets harder to hide. Every time you speak up, justice gets stronger. Every time you choose courage, someone like Sarah Thompson finds their voice. Today, someone is being discriminated against. Someone is staying quiet. Don't be that someone. Record the truth, share the evidence, speak for the silenced. Change happens when you decide enough is enough. What injustice will you document today? Marcus hit publish. Views climbed 100050015,000. Somewhere, another ordinary person was about to find extraordinary courage. The revolution would be live streamed.